Hello, welcome to my capstone project presentation. My name is Saida Willocks and I am in the Instructional Technology Ed Specialist program at Kennesaw State University. The title of my project is Using Google Suite to Differentiate Instruction. I chose this topic because of the many conversations I've had with educators about the lack of effective technological tools teachers can use to differentiate instruction. The components of my capstone include the following: introduction to the study, overview of literature, overview of methodology, overview of analysis, overview of results, and reflection on the capstone project. Throughout the capstone, I worked at 2 schools in different districts. I taught at Grady High School in Atlanta Public Schools for approximately 10 years. While at Grady High, I taught mathematics, AP Computer Science A, and AP Computer Science Principles. I was also the coordinator for the new Teacher Orientation Program and the Mathematics Center. I moved to Chapel Hill High School in Douglas County in the 2018-19 school year. I currently teach Algebra 1, Algebra 1 Support, and Algebra 2. Fortunately, while at both schools, there was a recent push for staff to use Google Classroom. While at Grady High School, all teachers were required to take the Google certification test for Google Classroom. There was also a mandate in place for all teachers to use Google Classroom in the 2018-2019 school year. At Chapel Hill, Douglas County rolled out Google Suite for the first time. As a result, many staff members were unfamiliar with its features. The purpose of the capstone is to provide professional development sessions on various features of Google Suite and track the progress and outcomes. Prior to Google Classroom, most teachers used Schoology or Edmodo to post assignments and other material. nGrade was used to distribute online assessments at Chapel Hill High School. However, nGrade was no longer available to all teachers in the 2018-19 school year in Douglas County. As a result, teachers did not have a platform to provide online assessments to their students. This made my capstone extremely meaningful, and I quickly gained the support of administration. There were 4 main procedures in the capstone. First, there was a distribution of a needs assessment. Professional development sessions were then conducted. The data was then gathered and analyzed, and then growth was determined via surveys, pre- and post-assessments. Participants received a copy of a needs assessment prior to the development of any professional development sessions. Here's a copy of a few of the questions and some of the results from the assessment. The focus was high school teachers teaching varying subjects. Most participants did not integrate technology in their lessons on a daily basis based on the survey. Most teachers were comfortable with implementing technology in their classroom, however, needed more skill and exposure to resources that were available. 100% of teachers felt modeling technology usage and implementation is important. 80% of participants felt they have instructional support and adequate access to the use of technology. 80% of teachers prefer to choose or have some type of say in the topics for their professional development sessions. Some teachers use Google Classroom, iExcel, and Kahoot to differentiate instruction. The majority of the participants felt the lack of technical skills was the greatest obstacle in incorporating technology in their classrooms. Teachers also expressed the lack of resources and not knowing what resources were available to them as obstacles to effective integration. Most teachers were interested in learning more about Google Suite, especially Google Classroom, since there was a mandate in place. Here is an audio excerpt from a technology workshop.
How do you create a quiz?
Alright, so let's edit this Google form that we've created already. And in order to change this to a quiz, you're going to click on the settings wheel and the quiz tab right here. And we're going to make this a quiz. Now the really cool thing is you can choose between, in terms of grading, it says in the grade later after you look at it yourself, or Google Forms can grade it and send the students their grades immediately. If you want them to see the questions they missed, you can do that here, and then for answers, scroll down a little bit. Scroll down. Scroll down real quick. And then point values as well. So that's up to you as a teacher what you want. Do you have any questions with this part? Okay, so let's click on save. All right, now in order to attach this to your Google Classroom, we're going to click on send, and we're going to click on the link. And this is the most important part. This is what is going to have your students take the quiz inside of Google Classroom. Click on shorten URL and copy. And go back to your Google Classroom. You can open a new tab here. In this audio excerpt, the teacher wanted to focus on how to use Google Forms to create a quiz via Google Classroom. The teacher used the computer and mouse while I provided verbal instructions. Overview of literature. The first quote, "There can be infinite uses of the computer and of new age technology, but if teachers themselves are not able to bring it into the classroom and make it work, then it fails." Cassava. Many teachers are candid when expressing how difficult effective differentiation is, especially with the lack of resources and time. Some have the tools but do not have the necessary training to implement in their classrooms. Other teachers express that they are tired of professional development sessions that talk about differentiation and would prefer to see it modeled in their classrooms. Ultimately, teachers need to be introduced and trained to use tools that will assist with adjusting instruction without adding to their heavy workloads. The second quote states, "Differentiation is a buzzword in the educational world, referring to giving students individualized attention in relation to how they are being taught and assessed in the classroom. Differentiation is not only for those who need more practice and help than others, but also for students who are gifted and need more challenging material." By Carney. With effective differentiation, students become more engaged and accountable throughout their learning experience. Differentiation also allows for students to move at their own pace, whether it involves remediation or acceleration. The next two quotes were taken from Carney. The first quote says, "Differentiation using Chromebooks and Google application leads to more understanding on an individual basis and an easier administrative process." Differentiation using Chromebooks and Google applications was successfully implemented into 2 math and science classes at Fostoria Intermediate Elementary School. It is a highly efficient way to make sure that every student is learning at their ability level and is given the opportunity to learn through their interests and build technological skills. The purpose of the study mentioned in the second quote was to differentiate instruction using Chromebooks and Google technology to improve engagement and grades in the classroom. 44 6th grade students in a math and science classroom were involved in this research study. The study concluded that differentiating instruction via Chromebooks and various Google applications boosted student engagement, grades, and their ability to work with new technology. For this capstone, qualitative research was used to conduct interviews, pre- and post-assessments. Participants included teachers, interrelated teachers, and administrators. Interviews and surveys were used to help develop meaningful professional development sessions, while pre- and post-assessments were used to determine growth in skills and mindsets. Interviews and surveys revealed that teachers had the least interest in Google Docs and Google Slides. Teachers showed the most interest in learning about Google Forms and Google Classroom. Most showed interest in using Google Classroom to fulfill basic needs such as posting announcements and assignments. However, the participants that were interested in using Google Classroom and Forms to differentiate instruction showed tremendous growth in skill levels. A dire need for a school-wide uniform platform where teachers can upload content and assessments was also identified. Although no mandates were put in place, there has been a significant increase in in-house professional development sessions on Google Suite at Chapel Hill High School. Many expressed their excitement for follow-up sessions in the post surveys after participating in the last professional development session. Providing one-on-one and follow-up sessions were effective to increasing the chances of teachers utilizing tools to differentiate instruction in their classrooms. Professional development sessions on using Google Forms to create online assessments with a focus on differentiation were necessary to getting staff on board with the new implementation. Follow-up and modeling sessions will also be necessary to continue effective execution utilizing the Google tools for differentiation. These are some of the results from a professional development session with the math department of Chapel Hill High School. Although all participants had used Google Forms previously, most did not use it to assess their students. Most teachers used it as a survey tool to gather information. Although all participants had some experience with Google Classroom, most had never used Google Classroom before in their classrooms. After the session, all participants felt they had acquired enough skills to utilize Google Forms in their classrooms. Here are some of the results from the pre and post survey given to the math department at Chapel Hill High School. The goal of the professional development session was to demonstrate how to use Google Classroom and Google Forms to assess students. Pre-test results are on the left and post-survey results are on the right. Prior to the session, 83% of the participants did not know how to add equations to Google Form to create math assessments. After the assessment, this number decreased to 16.7%. Next, prior to the session, 50% of participants did not know how to create an assessment in Google Forms. After the session, 100% of participants learned how to create an assessment in Google Forms. Lastly, 50% of the participants knew how to include a Google form in Google Classroom. Upon completion of the session, 100% of the participants learned how to add a Google form to Google Classroom. These comparisons showed significant growth in skills learned. Initially, the goal of the capstone involved demonstrating how to use Google Suite to differentiate instruction. After the needs assessment, it was discovered that many teachers were not interested in learning or utilizing all of the tools in Google Suite. It was quickly realized that the initial goal was broad and expecting too much of teachers in too little time. As a result, I adjusted the goal and focused on using Google Classroom and Google Forms. Since many teachers were unfamiliar with these tools, the sessions were broken down into mini sections that focused on no more than 2 skills. Teachers that participated in all sessions, including one-on-ones, were more equipped to use Google Forms and Google Classroom to differentiate instruction. Overall, after conducting the various sessions, teachers felt more comfortable with exploring Google Forms and Google Classroom as they learned how these tools eased their workloads and provided great data. The major change made at Chapel Hill includes a tremendous increase in the amount of teachers using Google Classroom for their lessons. It was also determined that without teacher input and meaningful professional development sessions, using Google Suite to differentiate instruction school-wide would not be possible. Thank you for viewing my capstone presentation. Have a great day.